Hello there, everybody. How's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am here with my next weekly update. Today is Thursday, March the 9th of 2017, and I hope that everybody is doing well. A couple of things to talk about before I start talking about the things that I'm here to talk about. Yeah, we're just going to go with that. Thor is here. He's up on the bed currently. If I keep peeking up at him, I'm just checking on him. He was up very late last night, so he's a tired boy. He might come down and visit, but the chances of that are not very high. He's really tired today. When we went to go get him up this morning, he was like, I don't want to. So anyway, there's that. And then I also want to apologize for not filming yesterday. I decided that yesterday was a good day to just kind of take a me day. And in my own small way, try to participate in Day Without a Woman. There's only so much I can do being stay-at-home bulldog mom at the current time, but so I just decided to take the day and do me stuff. Do some self-care, shall we say. So I have oodles to talk about, but I am fully prepared. Ready to go. This was one of the stops that I had to make on my way. So yeah, having a bit of a chai tea latte. Apparently the self-care continues. So anyway, so I have some works in progress to show you. I have a finish. I have some questions, just a few questions to go over. I also have a little bit of retail therapy. I'm going to do a bit of an unboxing or an unpackaging, I guess. And then, did I say books and knitting? A little bit of books and knitting. So let's jump right in. So we have a few questions here, like I said, and the first is coming from Layla, who is Novice Stitcher. And Layla asks, how often do you change needles? There's something in my hormones or my chemical balance, whatever, I rust needles like I'm getting paid for it. I probably go through a needle every other day, and they don't rust to the point where they're like breaking or anything like that. I don't let it get that far, but the finish totally comes off. Just totally comes off, and then it gets rough, and it's not fun to work with. So about every other day. So anytime I'm placing an order for some stitchy stuff, I am ordering a couple packs of needles because I go through them so quickly. Part of that may have to do with the fact that I stitch a lot, and so the needles are exposed to my hand oils a lot. Yeah, so that's what it boils down to. Next question comes from Ann Joel, and Ann asks, after finishing Frosty, which chatelaine is next? So I currently have two chatelaines on the go. I have the Bold Band Sampler number 3, which is the purples and oranges and yellows. It's very bright and beautiful. So I have that one currently going that I started during Mania last year. Actually, I think I started that for Katie's birthday last year. And then I also have the Autumn Fairy. And I brought that one, I pulled that one out to show it to you. So here's a preview of what it will look like finished. I'm stitching this on, I believe it's a 32 count, but I'm not entirely certain because the tag is gone. 32 count Mellow, Belfast Linen from Picture This Plus, I think. Pretty sure it's 32. And so this is where I got to. This was my 2016 New Year, New Start. I've worked on it a little bit since then, and I have the kit for this one. So that's why this is the next one on my focus. I don't have the kit for Bold Band Sampler, but the kit for Bold Band Sampler is only like $40 without fabric, and since I've already started it, obviously I don't need the fabric. Anyway, But I have the kit for this one, so I will be working on this one next. And I think I'm most of the way through part 1. There is a big Swarovski crystal that goes in here. This was the first chatelaine that I ever saw. And it is from, the way that I saw it was, I believe that I started with, I'm trying to think, I must have Googled like autumn designs, because I'm always looking at autumn designs. And so I saw this on a blog and it was Doodlehead Stitches, who used to have a podcast, a crafty podcast, but she has since stopped podcasting, which I'm very sad about, but totally understand. Sometimes you just gotta focus on your interests. But anyway, so she was working on Autumn Fairy for quite a while there. And that is one of my favorite chatelaines I've ever seen. I went with Frosty first because I remember on Melissa's blog, she talked about the fact that this design calls for a Swarovski crystal heart that is, the color is something like Volcano Dorado. It's an unavailable crystal at this point, and I was so new to stitching at this point that that freaked me out. I wasn't sure how I was going to replace it, what I was going to do for that. So I went with Frosty because Frosty, there wasn't any of that shenanigans going on with it. But this is the first chatelaine chart that I ever purchased. I have a habit of doing this, you guys. Have you noticed? I will get interested in a designer, and I'll have this one that I really want to do, but I start with another one for one reason or another. I did the same thing with Joan Elliott. Earth Goddess is my third Joan Elliott. Did I do the same thing with Mira? Yes, I did the same thing with Mirabilia. Persephone was the first one that I wanted to do, but I did Winter White Santa first instead. Anyway, so this is my next chatelaine. I don't expect this video to be as long as last week's because I don't have my Frosty Knot Garden to talk about for 40 minutes. But man, am I wordy. So wordy. Okay, the next question comes from Melissa Eggleston. And Melissa asks, what kind of stand do you use? So I didn't bring it with me, but I can insert a picture of it. It is the ever popular Lowry. And I don't have the extension, I don't have the extender bars, or the long frame adaptations. I don't have any of that. I use the side clamp, which from what I understand is the only one available anymore, with all of my frames. Q-snaps and millenniums. And it works great. Now, it works great because I stitch in a big old lazy boy chair, and so my very heavy millennium frames have somewhere to rest so that my Lowry isn't totally responsible for holding onto that big heavy frame. So that kind of plays a role into why I don't have the extender bars, despite the fact that I have 30-inch millennium bars. But I use Lowry, and I would swear by the Lowry. It is, it's not as big of an investment as the payoff has been. I haven't used any other frame since I got it 2 years ago. Yeah, or stand, excuse me, not frame. Excuse me, I haven't used anything else. So, yeah. I'm a little bit spoiled because now, like, I don't want to stitch on a Q-snap without being on the frame. Like, I don't want to stitch one-handed. So I'm a little bit spoiled. Okay, Granny Keever, hello. She asks the name of your bullet journal. And I'm going to put it up here in big bold letters, the brand name of it. I don't know. I believe that it's Lectrum, only because I saw a funny pun the other day. It said something like, what did it say? My husband asked me where my journal was, so I lectured him about where I always put it. Something silly like that. Puns are great. And so I believe it's Lectrum 1917. Mine is a soft cover version. However, I think that I'll be switching to a hardcover version once I run out of space in this one. Just because the hardcovers are prettier colors, they're more readily available, and they have twice as many pages. So it will last a little bit longer. So anyway, that's the name of it. And then Rebecca 7007 asked, how do you park when the parked threads are under the snaps? Okay, so this is hard for me to answer because I guess that the only way that I can explain it is that if I'm stitching on a Heaven and Earth design or a project that needs parking on my Q-snaps, and so when I was finishing up Mini Pearl, because I had cut the fabric too short, I had to stitch the last row of pages in my Q-snap because I couldn't access it on my Millennium frame. I'm thinking of my In This Moment. Before I got my 30-inch Millennium bars, I started that on the Q-snap. So how do I park when the parked threads are under the snaps? My parked threads never go under the Q-snaps because I use a Q-snap that is wide enough for the whole page. I only park in a single page. So, for instance, let's say I'm working on page 1, and let's say I get down to the bottom of page 1 and I need to park into the page below. So I'll be able to access all of it at once. Nothing ever really goes under the Q-snaps for me. I'm not sure if maybe you're using a Q-snap that's very small, like a 6x6, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure a situation where the threads would be under the Q-snaps, because I never reached that point. I hope that helps. Not so much a question, but a couple of things that I kind of wanted to talk about. First of all, thank you so much, everybody, for your love for Frosty. I talked about it on and on for 40 minutes, and I'm still planning on doing some sort of finished video for it. But you guys having love and appreciation for that project just makes it even that much more special to me. I mean, it's already like one of my favorite projects I've ever done. But knowing that there are strangers in the world, there are people across the globe who love this project and who now have Frosty Knot Garden on their wish list, whereas they wouldn't have in previous years, that's so cool. That's why Frosty to me is worth so much more than just a cross-stitch project. It's not just a cross-stitch project, it's like a bigger concept to me than that, because there are other people invested in it, not just me. One person suggested, and there were a ton of comments with relation to my chatelaine, so forgive me, I didn't write down any specific names, but somebody suggested that I go ahead and get her framed immediately so that I can stare at her. And so kind of looking into options for that, because I'm with you. I need her on my wall. Winter themed or not, I need her. So there's that. And then with regards to Mirabilia March Madness, if you're participating in Mirabilia March Madness and you have Instagram, use the hashtag Mirabilia March Madness. I'll have that on the bottom here. So far, I think I'm the only one who's used it. So if anybody's working on their mirrors this month, tag it so that we can look at all the gorgeous work that Nora Corbett does. Okay, and then last but not least, on Saturday, as you guys know, I posted a video, a stitch with me, a Saturday stitch with me. And there used to be a floss tuber, Lizard Lee, who would do these stitch with me videos. And honest to goodness, I don't know why, but I loved those videos. I love the Stitch With Me videos. I know that Mandy from Stitch Witchery just put one up not too long ago. I love those. I love to just sit and stitch with people. And I know that it's kind of disjointed a little bit because it's not like you can actually have a conversation, but it still kind of feels like you have that time to stitch with somebody. There's something cool about that. So I was really geeked to finally figure out a way to film that and to put that up. And I'm going to try to do that every Saturday. I'd like to do between 20 to 40 minutes, give or take. I have to figure out something because my phone would only let me take 10 minutes. And it wasn't like a limit on how much time I can take. It was like a space issue. Like I need to clear some stuff off my phone. So that I can film longer segments. I watched that video, like, not gonna lie, at least once a day. And there's just something about it. Just stitching along with past me. I don't know. It was very strange. So I'm gonna try to do that every Saturday and just have a Saturday stitch with me. Don't hold me to it if for whatever reason things fail. Or we reach football season and I'm gone every Saturday. But that's the plan. The other thing I wanted to mention is that on Saturday, it was a beautiful sunny day here in Virginia, and that thunderstorm sound, which is like one of the most comforting sounds to me in the world, that was not mine. That was not my storm. That was something that I got from the YouTube audio library. They have a collection of ambient sounds and free to use sounds and songs. So that's what that was. Because nothing in my iMovie library is long enough. And if I was to use music from my iTunes library, some people can't watch it, and there's there's the issues with copyright and such. So, yeah. But that thunderstorm, it was taken from the YouTube audio library. I can link that if you need me to. There's some cool stuff in there. So there's that. And then the last thing on my notes here to talk about is the Floss Tube Retreat in Austin, Texas this October. I'm going. Woo! So excited. I am so excited. I hope that I get to see all of you there. Not everybody can go. It's limited spaces. From an update that I got today, I think Julia, who is Julicious, who is organizing this thing, kudos, girl. You are a champion. There are 10 spaces left. And I will link her video about it down below if you want to check out the details. It's not just for floss tube filmers, it's also for floss tube groupies. So you don't have to be a film person. But it is taking place in Austin, Texas in October, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. Yeah, I've never been to Texas. Fun fact, almost moved to Texas. Almost moved to I believe it was the Dallas area, when we were living in Michigan and trying to find somewhere to go. One of the first places they looked, my parents, they looked in the Dallas area. So I almost ended up in Texas, and instead I ended up in Virginia. The irony of that is that I am a Redskins fan, Washington Redskins. but I was almost like totally exposed to the Dallas mentality. And now there's this talk about Tony Romo coming to play for the Reds. I don't know. We'll see. See what happens. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to Austin. Plans are still sort of being formulated. If Danny's going with me because he wants to eat barbecue for the weekend, or if he's not. If he is, are we flying? Are we driving? Because I had talked about maybe driving straight down, passing through New Orleans on our way to Austin. So we shall see. But that's neither here nor there. We will see. We are still, if I can't believe it, but we're still like 7 months out. So it's not like these plans need to be made now. So that is that. And that is it for the questions and the miscellaneous topics. Let's start talking about some stitching things, shall we? Into the works in progress. So when last I spoke to you, I was working on my Fantasy Sal by Lakeside Needlecraft and Doreen Jones. And I'll insert a preview here of what this looked like. I was partially the way through the March block, which was a phoenix. And here is what it was charted to look like finished. Absolutely love it. And this is what the whole inner design looks like currently. So we have just 4 blocks left. This, of course, does not include the border or the little diamond motifs in there. And I am stitching this on a 32 count Belfast in Heroic by Picture This Plus. And I finished up the Phoenix on Friday morning. I stitched very little on Thursday because on Thursday that's when I was first starting to feel kind of yucky. But I basically all I had to do on Friday was finish up the back stitch, and so I did. So here is the full design currently. And I will go ahead and bring in a little bit closer on the Phoenix because I just love her. So her name is Fiona because I was using my Fox the Phoenix needleminder, Fox from Harry Potter, and so Fox and Fiona. And yeah, love her. I got to admit, I like her much more from further back. Up close, the shocking color differences between the oranges and the red, it's a little stark. Like, it's a little sudden. And I wish that it was a little bit more subtle color transition. But from a distance, it looks pretty nice. So there's that. And I am most of the way ready for the April block. Just a little bit of the circle to finish up there. So need to get to that and maybe work on the border a little bit. So there is the Fantasy Sal. Aussie Stitcher Belinda mentions about being a little bit burnout, and I am with you there on the Fantasy Sal. It takes a long time. These blocks are deceptively simple. They take a while. There's a lot of stitching in these little blocks. I think that I was participating in a challenge for the Ultimate Cross Stitch group, and this block and the frame was over 1,300 stitches. That's a lot of stitches in a small space. So I get what you're saying, Belinda. This is one of the ones that I have to keep up on the blocks, otherwise it will go and languish and I will never finish it. So I have to start it the minute that it hits my email, because otherwise I won't, and then I'll never finish it. And I don't want to do that because, first of all, it's a year of whips, and second of all, I mean, I think it's adorable. Don't get me wrong, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it is going to look so cute in eventual kiddo's bedroom. But it's just a lot of stitching. It's a lot of stitching. And with these monthly sals, you know, you get this feeling like, okay, I'm going to stitch this monthly sal, and then I'm going to finish it in a day. And the reality of the situation is that that takes a lot of effort to do. So, but I think it's gorgeous, and I will keep on keeping on, and I will get it finished. So there's that. So, I finished that up pretty quickly Friday morning because, like I said, all I had was, I think, one color and the back stitch to do. So then I was supposed to switch to my Mirabilia March Madness project on Friday, but I decided to get a finish first because my order from 123 Stitch had arrived, and so I was able to go ahead and get that done. So the project I'm referring to is May by the Cricket Collection, and here's what the design looks like as charted. And here's a preview of what this looked like the last time you saw it. I changed up a whole lot of things about this one. Some out of necessity and some out of want. But it's all finished. Buttons and all. Do you see the cute little bee button? So cute. And then this pretty butterfly over here. I kind of wish that I had bought a second bee and put it maybe over here somewhere, just to try to extend the bee theme, because I think that's adorable. But I didn't. And so that 123 Stitch order contained not only those buttons, but also the silk that I used here underneath the seagull, or pelican, but I think it's a seagull. And so the changes that I made, let's see, most notably I removed, as I said, the mother-looking character from over here, and I think it looks really good just as is. Out of necessity, the letters are charted in Threadgather Silken Colors Newt Green, no longer available, a discontinued color, so I used Threadgather Silken Colors Wart Frog, a little bit darker green, but still a green. The bit that the pelagull, that's what we're going to call it, is standing on is charted for Threadgatherer Silken Colors Lemongrass, and also discontinued, so that I used Cactus in Sands. It's cactus and then N as in and sands. So that's what I used for that. It's also a little bit in the kite up here, but hardly noticeable. The chart provides a DMC alternate for that Cactus and Sands, which I had a really hard time finding a replacement for. The DMC alternate was like a sandy color and purple. And I just thought that looked kind of funny. I tried it. I tried the blend and I just didn't like it. So I just decided to find an alternate silk. It does blend in a little bit with the wart frog. Not gonna lie, but it's enough differentiation. And you can still tell that it's an M. So I'm not worried about it. So yeah, finished this baby up. And then just zooming in here real quick for my signature that I put on top of the other hive. So there is my May. All done. The fabric, by the way, is a 28 count antique wet cashel linen from Zweigart. Very pretty. So now I am up to 3 of the monthlies finished. Okay, so finished up May, and then Friday evening, I went ahead and pulled out my project for my first weekend of Mirabilia March Madness. And that was Bluebeard's Princess Mirabella. And I'm going to insert the preview here so that you can see what it looked like beforehand, but in all honesty, it wasn't a ton of progress. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. And I am stitching Bluebeard's Princess on a 32 count Belfast in Knix from Under the Sea Fabrics. So here's where I'm at. So I guess the most recognizable change, I'm going to fold this up, is that her arm here is stitched. So I finished that up. And I mean, I made some good progress on her collarbone area, like this region. But not as extensive progress as I was hoping. this fabric, that's more color accurate. When I bring it in close, it gets really gray and muted. So her skin, I'm stitching 1/1, of course. And that longest stretch of skin there, where am I? There we go. There you are, Jess. So on the chart, it's 50 stitches long in one row. And 50 stitches converted to 1/1 equates to 200 stitches of 1/1 in one row. That's a lot. So yeah. So that line took me a long time. So I really wanted to get to that line. And then whatever else I did, basically, it was just bonus. It was so good to work on her because I haven't worked on her in a year. So not since March of last year. Yeah, she's pretty. I was having a head cold, like I said, so I was trying to keep it simple. And stitching 1/1 when you don't feel great, I would not recommend it. Highly inclined to make mistakes, especially counting errors, which would have seriously. Can't imagine having to rip out the 1/1. So anyway, there's that. And so I will get back to her at some point in the future. I love her. I'm looking at the chart and I'm like, gosh, she is so small. Compared to Persephone, she's like half the size of Persephone. So like really, this was the big hurdle that I had to get over. And then, yeah, and then the rest will just zoom, zoom, zoom. I just had to get past this big long line of skin. So maybe after Persephone, maybe she will be my next Mira focus. But we'll see. So there's that. Okay. So as I said, the 1/1 on Sunday was kind of getting to me, so I decided enough of that. Let me switch to some 2/2 on some light colored fabric, because that's the other thing that's dark fabric, so it's its own little animal in and of itself. And so since it was my Sal's week, I decided to get to work on my Birthstone Dragons by Ingleside Imaginarium. And so here is what the design looks like currently. This is the cover page. And so I had to work on the sea serpent, or the sea dragon. Such a little cutie. And I went to go kit up this project. First of all, Brittany, love you. She charted this with one of my favorite colors of DMC that is never used. Like I hardly ever see this color in anything. DMC 996 is like one of the prettiest colors of DMC. It's just this gorgeous jewel blue color. So anyway, this is the aquamarine dragon, and I finished it. I didn't mean to, but this one stitched up wicked fast. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I didn't finish him same day. I finished him on Monday, but still stitched up real fast. And you can see he's got the crystal there on that claw. And as they do, the backstory came to me while I was stitching him. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Aster, and he is the older brother to the other two dragons. Now, Aster, how did he get such a name? Okay, so we're going to go into some storytelling. So while I was kitting this up, it called for another DMC for which I am out on the bobbin, but I had a little bit left in my chatelaine kit. That I was deconstructing. So as you guys know, when I finish up a design, I will unkit everything and put it in my master set of clippings and whatnot. So one of the colors came from Frosty. So it kind of feels like they're a little bit intertwined. So I started thinking about, and admittedly, Googling baby names that start with A that mean winter. We'll put that out there. So Aster is one of the names that came up. A, aquamarine, kind of a thing. So Aster means winter star. And so I'm like, oh, that's a really good name for him, named Aster, winter star. So then I'm thinking, he's a sea dragon. His name is Aster. It's cold. Titanic. So do you guys remember in the movie Titanic, the unsinkable Molly Brown, played by Kathy Bates, who I love, keeps talking to John Jacob Astor. See the link here? Keeps calling after him like he's an old friend. And I don't know that she knew him legitimately, but he was like one of the wealthiest men alive at the time of the Titanic. I think that based on my research on current rates, he was worth about $2 billion. Current $2 billion. So back then, not quite sure what the difference is there. Anyway, so every time I'm talking, or I'm stitching, while I was stitching on him, I keep hearing Kathy Bates going, "Hey, Aster!" So there's a bit of a Titanic link here. Aster here thinks that he's holding the heart of the ocean. He is not. Don't tell him. It will break his heart. He is a jewel thieving beast. He loves all of the rarest of the jewels, but it's an amethyst. It's not a blue diamond. It's not a sapphire diamond. But he won't know if you don't tell him. And the question is, did the Titanic hit an iceberg or Aster? Time will tell. Anyway, so love him. Very cute. I had to change quite a bit about his claws there, just because the way that it was charted, it's like you can see his claws kind of curling up around the jewel, and so I couldn't just remove the jewel because then there would just be blank space there. So I had to put in a few stitches for him to have like a hand. So there's that. Absolutely loving these. Brittany, I love your little dragons. They are just wonderful. And so I need to get into this and work, wrong way, there we go, work down the border a bit to get ready for April. By the way, I didn't mention the fabric. 32 count Belfast in Sparkling Diamonds from Crafty Kitten Fabrics. Love, 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 love. So excited for April because, you know, April's my birth month and all. So, diamonds. Have I told you guys this story? I don't think I've told you this story. So, my engagement ring is 3 stone. And I tell people all the time. So, yeah, Danny, when he got my engagement ring, he got the traditional diamond in the center, and then the 2 on the sides are my birthstones. Yeah. Anyway. Cheese ball here. Okay, so I know that a lot of you are about to ask me the question, what about your fabulous women in history? And take a sip. Fabulous Women in History is on hold. Possibly indefinitely, possibly until next year. So here's the thing. 2017, as it turns out, is working up to be two things. Globally, it's working out to be the year of the Sals. Everybody's got a stitch along. Passione Ricamo, which hasn't done a stitch along since Under the Moonlight, which I'm still working on, 2 years ago, it ended 2 years ago, has a new Sal coming out this year. There's linens and threads. I mean, like, there's so many, and so many of us are talking about the endless number of stitch-alongs happening. And it's a little bit overwhelming. I'm like almost having heart palpitations because I love the Mystery Sal aspect. I love the getting a new part and literally stitching it along with a whole bunch of other people. I love it. Stresses me out a little bit, not gonna lie. The second thing that 2017 seems to be, for me, is the year of finishes. May was my 6th finish this year. It's like the first quarter of the year, and I have 6 finishes. That's phenomenal. That's so good. I have another one coming up here in the next couple weeks. And that's a train that I like to be on. I like to be on the finishing train. I am not feeling the new starts this year. I am not. I'm just not in the mood. There are a few things that I want to start for very specific reasons. I still want to do Stitch Mania. And Tipsy Stitcher and I think, are going to do the Mirabilia Mania. But, like, I don't know. Just this whole stress with Sals and wanting to focus on finishes rather than starts, it just kind of all equated to, I don't want to start Fabulous Women. So I'm not. On top of the fact that I'm already 3 months behind. So I have all of this catch up to do. And I don't feel like that. I think I talked about this briefly last week about how sometimes I will stitch really hard to try to stay on track with something. And how I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I watch a lot of floss tubers who are very focused. They have a few projects, like more than 5 or 7, but they're more focused. So they'll work on one project for an extended period of time. And I love that. I love that at night I can go to bed with a project on my frame and get up the next morning and just continue stitching on it and just kind of hang out with a project for a while. So all of these new starts and whatnot, it's just not where my head is at right now. So there's that. I will hold on to Fabulous Women for a while. And I will focus on the 2 Sals that I've got going, Birthstones and Fantasy Sal, and the other ones will be there when I'm done. And that's that. And I'm okay with that. I'm strangely comfortable with this. I think I said that too last week. I said a lot of things last week, so it's not impossible. Okay, so Tuesday, the last day of my week 1 of my rotation, I had finished up the Fantasy Sal. I didn't feel like working on the border for a day. I had finished up the Ingleside Imaginarium Birthstone Dragon Sal. And I wasn't feeling like working on the border for that. I could have. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a jump on my week 2. Heaven and Earth Designs week. In February, I worked on Faces of Fairy 201. And this month I was supposed to switch to... What was I supposed to switch to? Mini Curl Up with a Good Book. But I decided to amend those plans so that I can try to get page 1 done on Faces of Fairy. So, here is what Faces of Fairy 201, aka Black Swan, will look like finished. And here is a picture of where I was the last time you saw this. I was partially the way through page 1. Fabric here is 25 count antique white Lugana from Zweigart. I'm stitching this 1/1 full cross. And I am still part the way through page 1, but I have made some advancements. So let me go ahead and bring it in here a little bit. So I have done 1,000 stitches, or 10 blocks, since you last saw this. And my favorite part is the crown. Gosh, is that confetti heavy, but I just love that. It's very pretty, but lots of confetti. I mean, you can see based on the number of colors that I have parked, there's probably 25 colors there. But I love this. So there's that. And then my needle minders here. This is from Abby Bella Stitch. Abby, I hope that you are okay. I love this one. These are really great for parked threads because it holds them up out of the way. Love that. And then my gothic little cameo from Gina's Unique Boutique. So there's that. And so this I'm going to continue to work on every single day. I mathed it out to have it done by the end of my week 2 rotation, and basically it boils down to about 500 stitches a day. So I'm a little bit behind because I only did 400 yesterday, and I haven't worked on it at all yet today. So I have some work to do for this. But we'll see. I mean, if I don't get it done by the end of week 2, I may continue and carry it forward and just work on it until the page is done. But we'll see. See what happens. So there's that. There is my gorgeous, gorgeous little itty bitty Heaven and Earth design. She's so small compared to the other ones. That'll be quick. Okay. Next, we're going to move into favorite whip. Yay! Who else is super excited that I'm working on the reader this week? I am. I am so stoked. I love her. She is my favorite whip. Yeah. I may stick her into Year of Whips. Just so that I can give her more time. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not amending my Year of Whips. Whatever. I'm going to work on her this week, and that will be fine. So this is The Reader by Jonah Elliott. Started during Mania of 2016. Mr. Man is so mad at me for talking while he's trying to sleep. So yeah, so there's that. Preview here of what this looked like the last time you saw it. Basically, I had the big blue dress, the bottom half of the big blue dress done. And this I am stitching on a 28 count cashel linen in Gingerbread by Picture This Plus. And I'm working on this about 2 hours every day, excluding Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'll go over that here in just a second. So you can see what I've done. I've been working on the purple edge of her skirt here. Oh God, I love this. I just love this project. Oop, upside down. Pumpkins, upside down. Okay, so, yeah, I'm going to work in there. My needle minders here are The Lady of Shalott. This is by No Name Needle Minders. Hello, Kate. And this is the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Happily Ever After Pumpkin Minder. I'm not entirely sure what the thing was called, but it's by A Needle Runs Through It, which is, I bought something from them the other day. I can't wait till it gets here. But so it's got like the book titles on the spine. So yeah, that is my reader. And I'll work on this, like I said, 2 hours. I have about another hour today, and then I will pick her back up on Monday and Tuesday. It's not enough time. It's not near enough time with her, but Progress is progress, right? So there we have it. So that is it for my current works in progress. And then I just want to talk briefly about plans here. This weekend is my next weekend for Mirabilia March Madness. And this week I'll be working on the Raven Queen. And this I am stitching on a 32 count Belfast in Haunted by Picture This Plus. That was the back. This is the front. And I'm in the bottom half. So I will work on some more of the black. Let's see, how much have I got left? I've got to be getting pretty close here to be done with the black. Yeah, so this big section right here is this section right here. So I'm almost done with the black in the bottom half of her skirt. I may get into some of the aqua colors because of the Stitch from Stash color weekend. So I may try to get into some of the aquas this weekend. Coming up this weekend is the DC area Metro Stitchers meetup in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm going to try to get up there, but I don't know if it's going to happen because if we get hit with this winter storm that they're calling for, then I'm not going to make that drive. Because on top of this winter storm, it's spring break season here in Virginia, and Sunday is a big travel day for all the spring breakers, either those leaving for spring break or those coming back from spring break. It's a crazy travel day. So if the weather is crap and there's an excess number of college students on the road, I won't be making that drive. But I hope to. I hope to. This is what I'm going to be working on this Saturday for my Saturday Stitch With Me. And if you are wondering why that black looks so inky, I'm using Anchor Black for this 2 strands over 2. Because the coverage is just undeniable. So there's that. So yeah, so those are my plans. And then next Wednesday starts week 3 of my rotation, but I'll talk about that when we get to that point. Oh, by the way, Sal related. The Reader as well as Bluebeard's Princess. Those are both projects for the Stitchmania month-long Sal History and Stitches. Bluebeard's Princess has some loose ties to a pirate that may or may not have existed. I did some kind of rough research. Bluebeard is a French folktale that was written in about 1600 about a guy who had, I guess he was really wealthy in this folktale. He was really wealthy, but he had a bad habit of killing his wives. And then there was an actual pirate, Edward Teach, whose pirate name or nickname or whatever, Blackbeard. And sometimes, for whatever reason in storytelling, these 2 names get interchanged. Blackbeard was a legitimate pirate, and like a real historical figure. So I'm unclear as to whether the Mirabilia chart, whether it references a pirate, so they could be referencing Blackbeard and accidentally called him Bluebeard, or it could be like this totally fictitious pirate. But I'm making the link anyway. And then, as I mentioned in my March plans video, The Reader, totally reading a Bodice Ripper romance. I didn't know that that was a library only term, but Katrina Gormley pointed that out to me. Because I was in the book blogging world for so long, I guess I picked up on some terminologies. So anyway, there's that. Oh, one last thing. If you have either a punny or a fun romance title that I could backstitch onto the book that the reader is reading, let me know. because I'd like to put a title on it. I thought about putting 50 Shades of Grey or 50 Shades of Blue, since her skirt's so blue, but it's kind of silly. So let me know if you have any titles. So there's that. Let's move into some retail therapy. I have one thing that I have already opened and then one thing that I'm going to open on camera. So the first thing contains a whole lot of boring stuff and one little interesting thing. This was the 1, 2, 3 stitch order that I placed that had the silk and buttons for May by the Cricket Collection. There's also a couple of other things in here that I needed. I needed a new tacky bob, so I got this one with some abstract embroidery art on it. New tacky bob, because mine is starting to lose its tackiness, I guess, if you will. I also got a couple more packs of needles. I don't know what it is with the piece bakers, but the styrofoam in here is like so loose that when I opened this package, there were needles everywhere. They had slipped out and slipped out of the package entirely. It was maddening. But, so, there's those. Size 28's my favorites. I needed some new Nymo beading thread because mine is running out. And since I'm getting very close to beading on a very large project that requires a lot of beads, I knew I was going to need some new beading thread. So I went on 1, 2, 3 Stitch and ordered some Nymo, but I wasn't sure what weight or what size thread. So I ordered the two that they had. And so we have the D weight and the B weight. And after doing a little bit more research, the one that came with my chatelaine kit is O weight, which is actually the lightest, so it's the thinnest version. And then B is a little bit heavier and D is even heavier. I think. I could be saying that backwards. Anyway, 1, 2, 3 Stitch doesn't carry the O weight Nymo, but the difference between the O weight and one of these, and I can't remember which one, it's negligible. And so I think it was B. So if you are looking to try Nymo and you don't have a Joann's, or your Joann's, like mine, doesn't have a weight, the B, which you can order from 1, 2, 3 Stitch, is comparable, I think. And I will write down here if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was the B weight. So, Nymo thread, and I bet I can use the D weight. It's not super heavy, so maybe worthwhile. And then the last thing I got was something fun. Dog Lessons for People by Lizzie Kate. And this I will be starting during my birthday sal. This I am using for one of the days where it's stitched on something with an animal, bonus points if it's a bulldog. This dog that's in the center here, I'm charting a bulldog to put in there instead because I need a bulldog in there, of course. So there's that. And on it says, Dog Lessons for People. Be loyal and faithful, play every day, drink lots of water, forgive quickly, avoid biting when a growl will do, sit close and listen, follow your instincts, give more than you receive, take naps, my favorite, be a best friend, and love unconditionally. So there's that. And I will raid my stash and see what threads I've got and what I can replace. So there's that. Okay, now let's get to the thing that I'm going to open on camera. I'm going to hide addresses. This is from Nifty Needle Nannies, and I already cut open the top because I try to make it easier. But I haven't opened anything, and I can't remember what I ordered, so I'm really excited to see what I got, along with you guys. So, let's see here. We've got... There is some candy in here! Now, Julie wasn't feeling well. She had a minor surgery, and so she sent candy to everybody. There's more. I got lots of goodies in here. There's so much candy. Okay. Oh my gosh. Ah! Dark chocolate raspberry. Yeah, that's got to go to Danny, since he's the dark chocolate fiend in my house. This is a dame? I don't know this one. Okay. Mr. Goodbar. Love that. Copico cappuccino. Oh yeah. That's happy. A milk chocolate from Frey, which is the #1 Switzerland chocolate. Woohoo! And a dark, so that Danny can have some. And a Hershey's special dark, also for Danny. So thanks, Julie. That was really sweet. Okay. Let's get into... We'll start with this one. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Okay. So here is Flapper Girl. She's tall. I wasn't expecting her to be so tall. But there's that. I have an affinity for the 20s and for Flapper Girls. Yeah, that's fun. So there's that. Okay. We'll do the next little one. Forgot about these. Dang, that thing is big. I forgot about that. Okay. So we have this gorgeous rose, because who else has Beauty and the Beast on the mind? There's that. And then the fleur-de-lis in Mardi Gras colors. Love that. Very gorgeous. That is so going directly on my berry collector, who I call Little Miss Mardi Gras. And the big one. Did I order that? I don't think so. Julie, what is this? Did I order that? Aw, Julie, you didn't have to do that. She sent me a cute little owl dressed up for Mardi Gras. And then this guy, who is way bigger than I thought too. When I was a kid, you guys are going to think me so strange. One of my favorite movies was and is The Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. So I had to get the death moth because, yeah, that brings me joy. That's going to go on faces because that's just too cool. That's a wood one. Oh, so cool! I might have to watch some Silence. Okay. Julie, thank you so much. I have so many goodies to get into. I love the flapper. I can't stop looking at the flapper. Okay, so there is that. All right, let's move on to the extraneous topics. So our next topic for conversation is books. This is going to be very short, and it can be summed up in one word: nothing. I haven't read a single page since we last spoke, so yeah, there's that. Now, I originally thought that this topic was going to be even shorter. However, when I went to go pick up my needle minders this morning, I had another package in the mail that I wasn't expecting for like a month. Goodreads is a social media site for bookish. They have lots of giveaways all the time. And I, on occasion, like probably 4 or 5 times a year, will go through and just binge enter all of these giveaways. I have won the giveaway maybe 3 times. And I've probably entered several hundred. Because there are thousands of people entering for the same book. Well, I won. I couldn't believe it. I haven't entered these giveaways in months. And finally, I entered this one and I won. And so this is The Shadowland by Elizabeth Kostova. Now, Elizabeth Kostova is the author of 2 books, one of which I read, one of which I haven't yet. The first is The Historian, which is listed up top. And The Historian is sort of a Dracula tale. I did not love The Historian, but I think that I was in the wrong mindset to read The Historian at the time, because it's supposed to be this dark, gothic, horror Dracula, and I think that what I was expecting was more on the, like a John Carpenter's vampires kind of a thing, like more blood and guts, whereas it was playing more towards the theory and the fear associated with Dracula so much as the actual carnage of Dracula. But what I did love about The Historian was the way that Kostova explains the various places. The characters visit Bulgaria and Transylvania and I believe Amsterdam and Turkey. So, yeah, some very beautiful places. This book, The Shadowland, takes place in Sofia, Bulgaria. Okay, so I'm just going to read you the back here real quick. And it says, just after arriving in the elegant East European city of Sofia, Bulgaria, a young American woman named Alexandra Boyd helps an elderly couple into a taxi, and accidentally keeps one of their bags. Inside she finds an ornately carved wooden box engraved with the name Stoyan Lazarov. Raising the hinged lid, she realizes that she is holding an urn filled with human ashes. As Alexandra sets out to find the family and return this precious item, she will first have to uncover the secrets of a talented musician whose life was shattered by oppression, and she will discover all too quickly that this knowledge is fraught with its own danger. So, very, very interested to get into this story. This is one of the most beautifully done advanced reader copies I have ever seen in my life. The paper quality is insane. I'm telling you what, they use the cheapest paper for most advanced reader copies, but this is nice. Like, I would not know that this was an advanced reader copy if it didn't say it right there. Now here's the fun thing. This book will be published on April 25th of 2017. Guess whose birthday is on April 25th? Yeah, me. Tuesdays are the big publishing days, and my birthday lands on a Tuesday this year. And this is one of the books that will be published on my birthday, an Elizabeth Kostova, that I won. So, I'm excited to get into this. It's big. It's over 400 pages. But I'm excited to see, for her to describe Sophia and to see what this is about. Her books are very character-driven, and they're more conceptual than they are physical, I guess. I mean, it's just like how I felt about The Historian. It was scarier because of the fear of Dracula, more so than the actual actions of Dracula. So, anyway, looking forward to this. Okay, next we have knitting, and I'm going to try to make this brief because it could go on for a long time. First up is the project that I was working on the last time I talked to you. This is in a bag by Knit and Stitch Bits, who was a bag maker selling on Etsy. Her shop has been closed for quite a while now. She is based in Australia, and I love her little project bags. This one, she located a lion fabric for me, and it is lined, so it's squishy. And inside is my sock. So, as I talked to you last time, I was working on my first pair of adult socks. I am knitting this out of Sweet Georgia yarns in their Tough Love Sock Base 80/20 Merino Nylon in the At the Ballet colorway. And I was about halfway through the cuff, and I am working on the leg. So let me move this onto my needles a little bit so that I can show you a little bit better. So I got started on the leg, and it's working up really beautifully so far. The ladder's much better in the leg than in the cuff, and I think it's going to be okay. Let's see on the back. So yeah, I mean, it's not great, but it's okay. And there's again on the leg there. So I am knitting leg for the next total of 6 inches of leg, I think is how far I'm going to go before I start working on the heel. And the heel that is called for in this pattern is a reinforced gusset and heel flap, I believe. Forgive me. But when I reach that point, I will let you know. As you guys know, in my knitting rotation, I get 3 days on each of my projects, alternating between this and alternating between my rotation and my Ashburn shawl. So this is going away for a little while, and I guess I will move my progress keeper here. I will move it up so that, well, now can I do this quickly? Okay. So that you guys can see the progress as of next time. So there's that. Love this. Having a blast working on it. I might work on this more frequently than my rotation says, just because it's really great traveling knitting and TV knitting, because it's just knitting in circles. So there's that. Okay, next in my Bulldog bag by this is by Zoe Designs. It's a simple drawstring bag. It's not lined or anything, but it's got bulldogs on it. So there's that. In here is my Ashburn shawl. And this is a pattern by Melanie Berg, paid for pattern on Ravelry. And I have my stitch marker there to show you where I was. And so at my last rotation, I gave this 4 days, and that's as far as I got. I didn't get very far, only because this section that I'm into now is a little bit mind intensive. So it takes a little bit of concentration just to make sure that I'm doing things correctly. Speaking of correctly, can you see the difference in the stripes? You see this one down here looks like a yellow garter bump stripe, and this one looks a little different. Yeah, finally doing the slip stitch color work correctly. Isn't that nice? About time. So this I am knitting out of Malabrigo sock, which is a 75-25 merino nylon base. The green is lettuce, the yellow is ochre. Eventually I will add in eggplant. I'm knitting this on Chago Fix Circulars US size 6, 4 millimeters. And I'm knitting this for a knit along with Eat Sleep Knit. And the knit along ends, technically it ends March 31st. Now you can obviously finish the knit along and still earn the points or the bonus stars throughout the year, just so long as you finish it within the same year. But I want to finish it by March. I don't think it's going to happen at this point. And the reason I say that is I did math, and I have to do 8 rows every single day from now until the end of March in order to be able to get this done in time. So I don't think that's going to happen because I haven't worked on it in a few days, and I don't feel the draw to put that much work into it. So it's okay. It's fine that I don't finish it exactly on time. I'll finish it at some point in April. I'm hoping to be able to get to the eggplant maybe in my next rotation with this project, maybe. So there's that. And this is my progress keeper here is from a kit that I bought from Little Skein in the Big Wool a couple years ago. So I'll just go ahead and move that up so that the next time that you see this, you will see the progress. So there's that. And that shell's almost getting too big for its bag. Okay, next, the project that I'm currently working on, and I have this project through today. This is in one of my Mrs. Brown's bags. It's pink magenta polka dots with a green zipper. Has her label here. On this side it says Whimsical Yarn Totes, Mrs. Brown's bags. This is something that I haven't shown you guys in a very long time. This is the Thistle Rambles shawl by Kristen Kapoor. This was the 2016 Summer Mystery Knit Along, the Through the Loops Mystery Knit Along, for which I never keep up with. I don't know why I thought I would be able to with this one. This one started like just before my wedding. What was I thinking? Anyway, so I am knitting this out of some gorgeous, scrumptious yarn. And this is where I'm at. I am midway through Clue 3. This is not the last time you saw it, but it's where I started working on it during this rotation. So I've done just a few rows. I think I've done 10 rows so far. And I am knitting this out of, like I said, some gorgeous scrumptious yarn. This is Shalimar Yarns in Breathless, which is a 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk. Scrumptious, so soft. And I am knitting it out of the colors, the pink is Petal, and the yellow leaning green, or green leaning yellow, is Curry. And on camera you can kind of see it looks a little bit gold. In life it's more of a spring green color. I had originally ordered this as my wedding present. I told Danny what I wanted for my wedding present, and so I was going to knit this out of my wedding colors, and I thought that this curry was more of a yellow, more of a golden color, but it's not. I mean, it's working up to be pretty green, and it's gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but it's not my wedding colors. So anyway, so the beginning of this shawl was striped, and then we're in this big section of the curry. Once I finish up this clue that I'm working on, and I'm working on clue 3 of 6, I think, then I get to work in some more of the pink. So that's what I'm working on. This shawl is just absolutely gorgeous. It was, like I said, it was last summer's mystery, and I love Kristen Kapoor's designs. Because it was last year's mystery, like I can't avoid seeing the spoilers for it. And so I just went looking for them because there was no way that I was going to be able to avoid it entirely. I follow Kristen on Instagram, like, so there's no way I was going to miss it entirely. So I went looking, and this thing, it's just gorgeous. It's my second mystery from Kristen, and it's definitely not my last. I'm hoping that next year I can get in on her sock mystery. She's one of my favorite designers because she does intricate lace, and I love lace. It's complex, and it makes me think, and I love that. So anyway, so there's that. And so I work on that today, and then tomorrow I go back to Ashburn and continue on in my rotation afterwards. Okay, the last thing that I have with regards to knitting is a little bit of acquisition in knitting. I have 2 new yarns in my stash. And the first is this gorgeous thing. This is going to look really familiar to those who have watched my knitting before. This is Manos del Uruguay in their Alegria base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, in the Colibri colorway. This is a rather heavy skein. It's 445 yards. So Manos is a really wonderful company. On the inside, it says, and I can't read the handwriting, but it's a handwritten to let you know the name of the person who put it together. It is Manos is a non-profit organization which assembles women in cooperatives scattered throughout the countryside of Uruguay. The aim of the organization is to bring economic and social opportunities to rural women. Phenomenal. And alegria, I believe it means happy? Joy. Yeah. Okay. I knit a sockhead hat, and I didn't bring it with me because it needs a little bit of surgery. Out of this yarn, this exact same, not the skein obviously, but this exact same yarn in Manos, Alegria, in Colibri. And I wore it when we went to Michigan at Christmas. And my cousin, Sky, hey Sky if you're watching, loved my hat. And so I agreed to make one for her as well. I was going to give her mine, but at the crown is falling apart. It needs some surgery. It needs some amending. So I just thought, well, I'll just go ahead and get a skein, and I'll knit her one, and I'll knit the same thing exactly the same again, and it'll be just fine. But these are like all of her favorite colors, like the minty sky blue and the deep purples. I messaged her and I was like, honestly, I think yours is going to be prettier than mine was, because mine had a lot more of the white in it. And I mean, like, even digging into this skein, like, there's not as much white in it. It's just so colorful. So I'll be casting that on for her pretty soon here. Sockhead hats are great. Travel knitting, because it's ribbing for 7 inches and then it's stockinette for another 10 inches or whatever. So I might just cast that on, even though it's not technically cast on time, because I need to get working on that. It takes a long time. The last is a skein by one of our own. And this is from Knitter's Nightmare Yarn, who is, the dyer behind Knitter's Nightmare is Sadie of the Yarnivore podcast. So she has Yarn Tube, Floss Tube, and Booktube. She's a busy woman. And I periodically check her shop, and I want everything, but I made sure to buy something recently to try to, I don't know, help bring some joy for her, because February was rough. So, yeah. And so the skein that I bought, absolutely stunning. This is my next pair of socks. So I am not even going to attempt to pronounce I believe it's French. I'm going to put it up here, but it translates to the fox in the snow. And this colorway is not showing up properly. But it is based on a picture by the National Geographic, and it's a fox playing in the snow. And I'm going to move her ball band here a little bit so that you can see the white in the center. Now this is on her Spectre sock base, which is it is 75-25. That math don't add up, Sadie. Maybe it's 75, 20, and 5. Superwash merino, nylon, and stellina. Stellina is sparkle. Can you see the sparkle in that? Oh, pretty. Yeah, that's gorgeous. So this is my next pair of socks. I was looking at my sock stash yesterday, And I have some gorgeous socks to be knitting. I have some really pretty sock yarn because I've always wanted to knit socks. It just took me this long to finally do it. But this is happening next. You see that sparkle? Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. I was looking at this next to my other Knitter's Nightmare. I also have her Starman, which is based on David Bowie. And I was like, which one? This one. Because it's just so gorgeous. I love the grays. Oh, Sadie, this is gorgeous. But math. 75, 25, 5. So this is 105% yarn. Anyway. So yeah, that's happening. So lots of goodness. Lots of good stuff happening here. Lots of knitting to be doing. Must get to work. So yeah. So looks like this is another lengthy episode. Plenty of stories, as I do. Several people have asked me this question, and I haven't answered it on the podcast, or on the podcast. It's not a podcast. Whatever. On my channel previously, about if I am writing, or if I'm interested in storytelling, or and the like. Yes. The long and short of it is yes. I started a book for NaNoWriMo a couple years ago, and I totally bombed NaNoWriMo. But it is still an in progress. And I have some other storytelling venues that I am not at liberty to discuss currently. But in due time, very shortly here, I should be able to discuss further. But the takeaway message here is that my storytelling invades every aspect of my life, be it stitching, be it knitting, be it reading. Storytelling is my thing. So with that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that you had a cup of coffee, and I hope that you are well. I will see you guys on, I guess, Saturday with my Saturday Stitch With Me. All right, take care. Bye-bye.